Any idea if Brad and Andy will be making the trip?
Brad's coming along slowly. I don't know if there's enough there yet for him to play this weekend, but we think the next weekend he should be on. And with Andy, we're sort of going to make a decision here, in terms of him possibly traveling with us and making a decision. But he went through all the way through possession, and then we wanted to pull him out so he wouldn't aggravate it, but he seems to be okay.
Was the number of injuries last year affecting how you push guys or how you treat injured guys this year, or is it totally independent? This is just, you kind of just play it how it is. In terms of Evans, if this was I don't know. Did last year change you guys' attitude about rushing guys back? I guess or maybe not rushing, but pushing guys back.
I'm not quite sure what your question is, but I think our philosophy towards injuries, we always review injuries and see if there's something at training, that we're doing or not doing that's contributing or not helping us stay there. But definitely our decision has been this year that, we've been pretty good with injuries. I think we've avoided injuries for the most part. Obviously some injuries like the labrum tear and the ACL, those are things that you can't necessarily avoid. But in terms of, putting guys out there, making sure they stay with the program, maybe easing off certain days of training with some people like Ozzy and other guys if we see that they're tired. So we've really done a conscientious effort about, getting them out on the field, though, having them do something, not, today's an injury day for you, so you're just going to get a massage and that's it. So it's basically, you're going to do something, you're going to go on the bike, you're going to work with the trainers. We've changed our injury protocol where guys we know are injured where they can't necessarily train, like Brad does his work inside while the team's out here and then finishes up out here. So that gives them time to get the other guys ready. So, our protocols changed a little bit, but how we treat it, not really.
In my workplace, I don't necessarily know what all my fellow reporters make. Does it change the dynamic at all in your locker room when everybody knows what everybody else is making?
Oh, did that come out today?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is. I was going to tell a story, but it's probably a bad story. He says, my uncle in Germany had a company where he made sweaters, and obviously the seamstresses were primarily female. And he said, it was just if somebody walked in with a new dress that day, it made for a bad day. Everybody was concerned about how'd she get the money to buy the new dress? Is he paying her more per piece work than they're paying me and things like that? So I think there's always that in any workplace. I think if you knew the salaries of all your other reporters and where you are in the workplace. I was in a very competitive field before I went into coaching, which was accounting, and you knew exactly where you were ranked. I came in with 15 people, and at the end of the first year, you knew whether you were number 1 in your group or number 15, and the salaries were obviously commensurate, and the raises were commensurate with that, and so it was very competitive, and that's why, after 2-3 years out of that original group of 15, there was only like 3 or 4 of us left, because everybody said, well, I'm moving on, because it's opportunities. Here in the professional sports, it's just a reality of what it is, and it's the way our league is, and obviously the disparity between top and bottom is much greater in our league than it is in other leagues, other professional leagues in the U.S. and overseas. But I think for the most part, guys know it, they look it up, but it doesn't become an issue in the locker room.
One of the things
what kind of a test is it for you this week going against the top team in the conference on the road?
Well, Dallas is a team that always starts off well, so hopefully they'll start coming back to earth. They did that last year, and we hope they start doing that this year with this weekend's game. But they're playing very well. Oscar's done a good job with them. He brought over Henry Thomas, who's helped solidify themselves, defensively in midfield. Diaz, who came in at midseason now, has obviously found his legs about him, and he's played very well for them. They've got good speed on the flanks. But it's a game we're looking forward to because it's going to be a good challenge for us.
On Tuesday, you talked about how your group was working to kind of fix the mistakes you guys made against Portland on transitions and a couple specific situations where you guys broke down. Are you worried about Dallas trying to take advantage of those kind of same situations, or are you happy with the progress the guys have made to kind of fix those mistakes?
No, we worked on it. We worked on it today as well. We worked on it on Tuesday also, and we'll continue to work on it. A lot of when you go back and you look at the goals that we've taken up till now, we've been our own worst enemy on a lot of them, because we've either turned the ball over or created a mistake in our defensive part of the midfield, and given the other team an easy route to goal, or an easier route to goal. I mean, whether it's a back pass against TFC, or a turnover, or that first goal against Portland, which also came off a turnover, gave away a PK, and a corner kick goal against Columbus. So it hasn't been where teams have really opened us up per se, but it's where we've created problems for ourselves by the turnover. So we've tried to address that, and part of that is an offensive solution, us just being a little bit better at possessing the ball in that part of the field. So we've talked about that, but we've also talked about making sure that we get tighter to the people quicker, and that we have a better reaction in terms of our transition when the ball does turn over, and that's what we've been working on the last few days.
How good will it be to have Jimmy Traore back on in the back line?
Well, yeah, obviously Jimmy's an experienced player, and he's done well for us back there. So, as a left-footed center back, allows Chad to go back to the right-hand side. So, Jimmy's experience, his leadership, are important parts for us. I know he's looking forward to being on the field again and playing, and just that enthusiasm helps as well.
With Dallas leading the league in goal scoring, what do you guys need to do to slow down their attack?
Just got to keep an eye on Diaz. You gotta eliminate the supplier. If you want to eliminate the goals, and he's the one who's supplied a lot of goals. But they've also picked up some PKs, and they've scored some goals on set pieces. Michel is a good server of the ball on set pieces, and so you don't want to give up unnecessary set pieces with him on the field. But once you've given up that set piece, you really can't stop the service. It's either going to be good or bad. So we just got to eliminate those set pieces.
How would you assess Kenny's play on the wing this year? How would you assess
Kenny will do whatever you ask him to do as a coach. He's great to coach in that regard, and I think he's starting to understand when to come in, and find himself as part of the offensive part of the game. I mean, even though in Portland his goal came off a corner kick where he's inside, but he had that other good chance that he was inside off the half volley, that Andrew Weber made a good save on. So, he's starting to find the net now. He's starting to feel comfortable. The guys know where he's going to pop up. So that cohesion's starting to get better.
It seems like he's been coming out pretty regularly around 60, 65. Is that by design, that you just kind of want him to go hard for those first few minutes and then?
Well, in the one game against Columbus, it was a function of the red card.
Right.
And in the last game, we just felt we needed to change some things, and so we ended up changing actually two of the players in the wide positions within a short time of each other. So it's not something where we think he's tired. His fitness level is pretty good. It's just sometimes we just feel we need a change, or there's something we can do to help our game at that point.
When you're deciding a formation for the week, do you look at the personnel you have, or the team you're going against to kind of decide?
We look more at the personnel that we have. We did a little bit with the injuries when Dempsey was out and Evans was out. We looked a little bit at the personnel of the opponent. That always is in our minds, but we're really looking at our team first as to how we're going to play. And the big thing, as I said, the way I look at it is the game on Saturday was really Dempsey's second game with us. So now we're trying to understand, okay, does that work with three up front and him coming off the wing? Does it work better with him being underneath Oba? And so we've made some decisions there.
With Cooper, this is his second week in a row against a former team. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. Have you been surprised?
Are we playing New York next?
You say he's coachable. He seems like a nice guy. Are you surprised to see that, or does a forward at a certain cap number or a player at a certain cap number run that risk in this league? When you see coaching changes and guys not wanting to hear certain numbers.
Oh, well, a player always at a certain cap number runs that risk. If you're making a certain amount of money, everybody expects you to produce, because it's limited resources being allocated, to players on your team. So if you're allocating a good amount of your resources, you expect this to happen with that. But I think for Kenny, it's each situation's been a little bit different, as to why you move on, and I'm sure there's a story to each one. But when he became available to us in the trade offer, we felt it was a good positive change for us, and that's why we wanted him.
Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks.